Dre Spector Boxing here with another video. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. Also hit the bell notification that way you stay updated on the latest content as I add it to the channel. My, we have a fight on our hands. This is a unification fight. 3 belts on the line at the 154-pound division. This is going to be junior middleweight or super welterweight, whatever you wish to call it. But this is going to be a showdown at 154 pounds. And I love this matchup. I think this is the best matchup that they have on the PBC lineup from either the Fox side or the Showtime side. Whether you gauge it up against maybe Tank and Luis Santa Cruz in a Tank fight, I think they may have more viewership, but this is a more competitive fight. If you gauge it up versus the Earl Spence and Danny Garcia fight, they may have more viewership, but this is going to be the more competitive fight. Both of these guys are pretty evenly matched, and kind of the same types of fighter. I'm going to break down the fight and tell you who I think going to win, when I think they're going to win it, whether it goes to decision or it's going to be a TKO stoppage victory, and pretty much break down how I think the fight is going to go. This is going to be probably a little bit more on the longer side of the videos that I'll be making, because this is a fight that I'm most excited about, that I've been looking at and gauging, and I've been studying, and I've kind of figured out how I think this fight is going to go. This is going to be an extremely competitive fight, and man, these are some young, hungry lions. And let me first get to Jeison Rosario, man, the Banana Man. I love it, man. I love it. He stepped up to the plate. He stepped up to fight Jermell Charlo. A lot of other guys didn't want to unify with Jermell Charlo. This guy is dangerous. Jared Swift-Hurd held those 2 titles for a few years, and well, not a few years, but had a chance to unify with him when he had 1 title, and he decided to unify with Lara. And I think he took that route because Jermell Charlo, this is not a guy that you could just easily fight, and Jared, that you could easily just beat. And Jared Swift-Hurd even went on record to say that he needed a tune-up fight. Once he was unified champ, he needed a tune-up fight, that he wanted to fight at his own hometown as a tune-up fight before he went up against Jermell Charlo. That speaks volumes for the respect that this guy has for him. And, a lot of these other fighters has for Jermell Charlo. Nobody just running and jump up in there and thinking that they're going to beat him. They know that this is one of the top guys at 154 pounds. Well coached, well trained. Ronnie Shields groomed him. And I believe that Derek James is bringing the most out of Jermell Charlo. So I want to just give the shout out to Jeison Rosario. He could have went a different route. He could have went to fight someone else. He could have did a rematch. He could have gave Swift-Hurd a chance. But instead, he's embracing the spotlight, going for a unification bout after the biggest fight of his career and the biggest win of his career just earlier this year. And that speaks volume. I was so surprised when I heard that this fight was being announced, but I was so excited at the same time. This is the best fight that's on the lineup, without a doubt. And let's get into Jeison Rosario. He had a hiccup a few years back versus Gallimore, where he lost. He was stopped. He actually hurt, I believe, dropped Gallimore, if I can remember the fight correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong. But Gallimore came back, got him stunned and rocked, and the referee called the fight. I thought the referee could have gave him another shot. It was a devastating loss for the young guy in his young career. But he's bounced back. He won all his fights since then. And he's been knocking some of these guys out. And, in the biggest fight, he came in and he took care of business versus J-Rock, which he was a huge underdog in that fight. Then he came in and he surprised a lot of people. And I said this, I was like, this guy has heavy hands. And he looked good coming into the fight. He looked big. He looked huge for 154 when he fought J-Rock. J-Rock always looks, of some of these bigger 154 pounders. J-Rock looks on the small side. I always look on the frail side to me. And he has a suspect chin ever since the Jermell Charlo knockout. He's been stunned, rocked, and hurt in some fights. And he had a big win. He was coming off a huge win versus Swift Hurd, which I did not see that from J-Rock, but he did what he had to do, and he went in there, outboxed the shit out of Hurd. So for him to turn around and put out that performance that he did, you know what I mean? It's those old demons, man. You get hit with those big shots from heavy-handed people, individuals, and you don't have that chin, man. It will hunt you. That's old demons. And Jeison Rosario did what he had to do, and he went in there and he got him out of there, man, and became a unified champion overnight. You know, and that's spectacular. And then he embraced and he's fighting Jermell Charlo now. So, now that you got that out the way, let's get to Jermell Charlo. Jermell Charlo had a busy year in 2019. Had 2 fights, but it kind of 3 fights within that year, because from December to December he had 3 fights, 2 with Tony Harrison and 1 with Cota. And Tony Harrison won. He lost on the scorecards. Didn't think he deserved the loss, but he lost. He got jabbed out of his championship. But he turned around and he was willing to jump right back in the fire with Tony Harrison. Tony Harrison jumped out the fight. He had to fight Cota, and he knocked him out. Son, a statement. Then he went up against Tony Harrison 1 year later, almost to the date, and he knocked him out to retain his title. Man, that was a hard fought battle. It was a kind of evenly matched battle. That's kind of his little nemesis. You know what I mean? That's one of the tougher fights, the tougher tasks that he's had to overcome in his career so far. And he went in there and he took care of business versus Tony Harrison. He outmuscled him. He willed himself to victory. He would not be defeated on that night. He knocked him out. He knew he was going to knock him out, dropped him early, and then, you know, Tony Harrison was a game fighter and came back and threw back at him. It was an evenly matched fight. I didn't think either one was pulling too far ahead. Thought it was very close. And then, you know, Jermell came with the stoppage. Once Tony Harrison got a little relaxed up in the ring, he knocked him out. You know, so that goes to show you what type of fighter you're dealing with Jermell. This guy is a very determined fighter, and he took a lot of blows in that fight, more than what I would have liked to see him take. And he stood in the fire, man, and he traded with Tony Harrison, and he got a chin of steel. And we was able to get the knockout. More powerful guy. So that brings us to Jermell Charlo versus Jeison Rosario. How I see this fight is gonna go. Let me give you some of the strengths of Banana Man. Banana Man has good left and right hooks. He has power in both hands. This guy can punch. He is heavy-handed. My problem with Jeison Rosario is the jab. His jab is just a pawing jab to begin with. And then on the other side of that is he abandons the jab sometimes. So you cannot abandon the jab. You have to have a game plan. You have to stick with that game plan. And when he abandons the jab, that's when he gets hit with the most shots, because he has no defense. So as he's trying to get off his offense, he can get hit in between. As if you go back and look at the J-Rock fight, J-Rock was having success early when he was getting in between those shots, because Banana Man just opens up. Sometimes he opens up with those hooks to the body without coming behind a jab, or he paws at a lazy jab and gets countered behind that lazy jab. So Jeison Rosario, he's gonna have to show me a different Jeison Rosario for me to believe that he's gonna be victorious on that night, because he's still a young guy. He's 25, and I don't think that he's really grasped how to put in offense with defense. He's all offense. And I believe that he's going to leave himself open for a lot of counters by Jermell Charlo. However, on the other side, Jermell Charlo, I believe, has an iron chin. And this guy is willing to trade at times. I think he's a little bit more timid at times, and we're going to see how fast he starts. What Jermell Charlo is going to be, that motivated Jermell Charlo that came to put a hurting on Tony Harrison, or it's going to be that Jermell Charlo that was in a Tony Harrison 1 fight where he was a little bit timid to get off, and ultimately caused him the decision at the end. Because early on in the fight, he was not so willing to go in there and get in the fire and trade. He was kind of a little timid and was staying on the outside. And I just thought that if he would have worked earlier, he would have easily got that victory, or should have easily got that victory, might I say. He probably still would have got robbed. I'm not sure what the judges had going on that night. So this is going to be a very intriguing fight. I believe it's going to be very competitive early on. And that is going to be telltale how this fight is going to end. Will Jeison Rosario be able to get in some good punches early on, get some good work in early in the fight, and kind of hurt Jermell Charlo? We haven't really seen that, but it is possible because this guy he's a really stout 154 pounder. But on the other side, I believe that if Jermell can start working early, I believe that he can control and he can actually hurt Jeison Rosario. I've seen him hurt before. So, and there's a lot of opportunity in between that offense that Jeison Rosario gives up for counterattacks, which that is tailor-made for what Jermell Charlo wants to do. He wants to counter in between your shots. And if you allow him to do so, if Jeison Rosario doesn't have a boxing game plan, which I don't think that he will, I think he's going to get countered in between. It's not going to be soft shots that he's going to receive. He's going to receive tough, thudding shots, because now that that Jermell Charlo has got away from Ronnie Shields and got with Derrick James, he sits on his power a lot more. And he waits for you. He waits for that counterattack, and he hits hard. And not only is this guy he's one of the most tremendous shape, tremendous athletes. He gets in and around, and he creates angles. And let me tell you something, when Jermell gets you hurt, man, him and his brother, but when Jermell gets you hurt, man, this guy know how to finish. Go and look at some of the finishes that he had in it, versus the one versus Hadley, the one versus Tony Harrison. The way that he finishes, man, he puts combinations together. He will triple up a hook. He will triple up uppercuts. Man, this guy knows how to finish. So this is gonna be a very intriguing fight, especially early on. Who can impose their will? And I suspect that it's going to be Jermell Charlo that's going to be able to impose his will early on, get in between those shots, because he's a little bit more patient. He has a lot more fight experience, and that's something that you can't teach. Jeison Rosario doesn't have that fight experience on this high level. Will this stage be too big for Rosario? Will he be able to come in and just acclimate to superstardom, because that's what he's on the verge of. So what will he be able to come and get on this big stage, and how will he fight when he's no longer the superior underdog? Because inferior underdog, because that's how he was looked at, and nobody gave him a chance versus J-Rock. And look what he was able to do. He's able to catch you by surprise. I don't think J-Rock took him lightly, but I just think he was able to catch him by surprise, cut him early, and he was able to capitalize on that. Now that they know what you can do, what are you going to do when those big bright lights turn on? How are you going to show up? And if I had to put my money on somebody fading, or because I've seen it from Jeison Rosario, I'm going to say that Jeison Rosario be the first to fade. I don't think that he has the win that Jermell Charlo has. Jermell Charlo is in tremendous shape, always working out. Don't see him in the offseason out of shape. I've always seen him in shape. So it's nothing that tells me that he's going to, that Jeison Rosario is going to win the war of attrition. Like, I believe that Jermell Charlo is going to win that as well. So if this is going to be a 12-round grueling fight, I believe that who's going to be fresher going into the second half of the fight is going to make, is going to be big and huge. And I believe that's going to be Jermell Charlo. I believe that he is the guy that's going to be able to stay fresh later in the fight and impose his will. And I believe this is going to be a long fight. I don't think this is going to be a short TKO victory. But if anybody was to get TKO'd, I also have to give that check off to Jeison Rosario, because Jeison Rosario has been knocked out. And this is the type of fight on a big stage with big lights where those demons can hunt you. You've been knocked out before. You've taken a TKO loss. And you don't want to put yourself in a position where you get tired, and those looping shots where you come behind a lazy jab, or you come with looping hook shots to the body. And I've seen him get countered in between those. I don't like it. I don't like this. This is not a great matchup for him. I believe that he is one of the top 154 pounders, despite what anyone else may think. but I just don't. I believe that Jermell Charlo is on the brink of superstardom, and he is the premier 154 pounder. I see him being victorious in this fight, and if I was to gauge anybody to get a knockout, well, I would believe it'll be Jermell Charlo, which leads me to my prediction. I'm gonna predict Jermell Charlo will get an 11th round stoppage of Jeison Rosario. I believe that too many counter shots without enough defense going down into the second half, where I've seen Jeison Rosario fade behind that lazy jab and then that disappearing jab. Sometimes he just gives up on the jab and he stops jabbing. He cannot do that against a skilled fighter like Jermell Charlo. Him and his corner, Derrick James, they are read and react type of fighter. Derrick James, is a type of trainer. He's a read and react trainer. He's gonna get him to catch and shoot. He's gonna get him to counter. He's gonna get him to sit down and get on that power. Man, this formula, I don't believe bodes well for Jeison Rosario. His chances are gonna be early. If he can hurt Jermell Charlo, maybe to the body, maybe to slow him down. I don't know what he's gonna be able to do, but he's not gonna be able to do it with the absent jab or a lazy jab. If that jab is lazy early, he's gonna be in trouble. And like I said, this young guy has had the track record of slowing down. That's why he's been in closer fights than what Jermell has in recent history. So I'm gonna go with Jermell Charlo, 11th round TKO victory. I don't believe that he will knock Jeison Rosario out, but I believe that he will take enough punishment to where they may want to choose of stopping it. He has a lot more experience, more ring generalship. I think he can control the fight at his pace because he's very patient, and he was willing to wait on Jeison Rosario to initiate the offense and then him to counter. And I believe that's what he's going to do. I have no doubt in my mind that if it goes to the scorecards, I still think that Jermell Charlo will do enough to get the victory because of the points that I've made. I believe he will earn enough points to beat him even in a 12th round match. I don't think it will be a wash. I think it's going to be very competitive. There's going to be some give and take. It depends on Jeison Rosario. I don't think that his skill sets has changed since his last fight or in his previous fights. He is a come forward type of guy. He is a sometimes looping, abandoned jab, just coming in and hooking to the body or to the head. And I don't like that for him because Jermell Charlo is a very good sharpshooter. And if he gets you hurt, he knows how to finish. That is the problem. I've seen him get other 154 pounders hurt. And once he gets, that guy will triple up on punches, hit you with combinations. And you know what I mean? He goes to the uppercut. He knows how to go down to the body and come back to the head. Man, this guy has good power. So both of these guys has good power. You can see both of them hurt in this fight, but I think Jermell has the ability to recover, and Jeison Rosario, this may be too big of a stage, and he might have those old demons coming back to hunt him. Hey, that's Dre Spective. That's what I think about the fight. That's how I got it breaking down and how it's gonna go. 11 round TKO stoppage for Jermell Charlo. You think something different? Hit me in the comments and let me know what you think will happen. But that's all I got for you, and I'm out.